So I'm back in the spare room studio once again. A very warm welcome. It's a beautiful afternoon. We've just hit the afternoon. I am going to talk to one of our busiest drummers. She is a good friend and a very inspiring performer. This is Vicky. Here she is. Hi, Vic.
Hey. Hello, hi Rich.
Hello, lovely. Welcome to this. So this is my spare room in the rental flat that we're in for the next couple of months whilst this all sort of blows over. So it's also somewhere that my 3-month-old is also keeping her spare clothes. So, but not quite as cool as where you live. You're in a school, aren't you? That's right, isn't it, Vic?
Yeah, so we're fortunate to be living in an old primary school as guardians. Right. So that means that it's basically 8 of us who live in the whole school. We all have a huge classroom each, which is our bedrooms, our small flats essentially. And then we also have access to the big gym in the middle of the school that we've now turned into partly like a video studio. And then my husband has also built after the lockdown, he was like, you need a drum studio. And then he found spare rooms behind the industrial kitchen in the school that he's now turned into like a fully functioning professional recording studio, essentially.
Well, if anything, this lockdown has been a positive. You're having a great time.
Oh my God, I've been busier than ever since all of this has happened, which I'm still asking myself, how is that possible? And how did I have time to do all the things I was doing before when I was traveling across the world, but it's been good. And I think it's also good to keep yourself busy in these times because it is dark times that we are going through. And it just helps you to keep sane in some ways, to just keep on doing what you're doing, keep on being creative. And we've very much so done that here.
Yeah, man. Good. All right, let's talk about, let's go backwards. So where, because obviously I know you're not from England. So where, when and why did it all start for you as a musician?
Oh, okay. So I'm from Finland originally. 10 years ago, I moved to London. But I started playing classical piano as a 4-year-old. Realized when I become a teenager that this is not for me. This is not cool. I want to be with the cool kids. And there wasn't any alternative. There wasn't any pop music I could study where I was from. I come from a small town. So I sort of gave up the idea of music making altogether at that point. And it wasn't until I took a gap year after I finished my school when I was 18 and I went backpacking to Latin America with 2 of my best friends that I just kept hearing all these amazing rhythms everywhere. And I always found myself on a beach with a djembe or bongo in my hands. And I was like, I just need to explore this side of myself a little bit more before I go into my academical studies, which I already had lined up in Finland. So when I came back, I then took another gap year and I went to a 1-year music school where you could study pop and rock music.
Where was that?
And that was an hour away from Helsinki in my neighboring town from where I'm from. Yeah. And everyone were essentially living in the school for the whole week, for the whole year. And we had access to all of the band rooms, the recording studio, everything under the same roof. And that was really what changed my life in so many ways. And they really encouraged you to study many different instruments when you were there as well. So I started to take drum lessons as a side instrument. And I had a really amazing drum teacher. And I think he saw potential in me quite early on. And he was like, hey, you get this thing with rhythm. And I was like, oh, I really like it.
Yes, I do.
It's just something about it.
Yeah.
And that basically then just took over my life. And a year into that course, I ended up staying for another year on that course, which just helped me to develop even further my drum skills and also other skills as a musician. And then I felt brave enough to apply to do a drum degree in London. And I sort of always knew that Finland wasn't for me. I had been traveling quite a lot already at that point, and I was just eager to move outside of Finland. At that point, I was like, I can go anywhere really, anywhere in Europe, so it's not too far away. So I just typed in music schools Europe, and then through that I found this school in London. I didn't really at that point even consider what a music mecca London really is.
Sure.
Until I moved here and started studying, and then I started to realize what an important place this really is to be living in.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing in my career if I wouldn't have moved to London.
It's amazing. What a story. So there's a chance there, having said you did come to London, there's a chance you could have gone to Paris, you could have gone anywhere pretty much in Europe. But because so which college, school, sort of music, where did you go to when you came here that you found on the internet? Which one was that?
So I found the first contemporary drum school in Europe, which was called Drum Tech at the time.
I know it.
Did you go to Drum Tech as well?
No, so I was at the London College of Music, which was in Ealing, and they Drum Tech had their degrees. They were sent through the sort of the university that ours were accredited to. So I met Francis Serial, all of those, Paul Elliott, etc. And they're only in Acton at the time, so they were 10 minutes away. So I know.
Yeah.
What a
plan. And I also moved to Acton because the school was still in Acton when I started there. Yeah. And it was really, it was hard for me because I had only played drums for about a year when I applied for this degree. And most of my peers would have been playing drums for like 10, 15 years at that point. So I was really like, oh my God, when are they going to find out that I can't actually really play the drums? How is this going to go? Ah! Yeah. But the good thing that came out of that was my determination, because I was like, okay, if I want to do this, I need to work really hard. So I had my practice routine locked down. And I was doing my 4 hours of drum practicing every single day through that degree. Right. And I think looking back, that's really paid off now, because it is such a hard life working as a freelance musician, working as a freelance drummer as well today. Yep. And so much of our work is being taken over by drum machines so there's just not as much work out there. Yet there are all these schools that are specifically made for this. There's a lot of people that come to London specifically to study these things, but then the work isn't there for everyone.
What are you learning to then go on to? It's tougher. It's definitely, you did right. Talking about as a drummer, but do you class yourself as a drummer, a percussionist, a rhythm artist? I thought about this morning as a term, a songwriter. You know what I mean? There's so many talents. Where is your flag?
That is such a difficult question. I like rhythm artist. Yeah. That's probably the word that I would choose from all of those.
Fair enough.
And I started off very much so as like a kit player.
Yeah.
But then I fell into the whole DJ live, playing percussion. I've always loved percussion as well. I don't have the same training on percussion that I have on drum kit, but rhythms are very transferable still. And I have still been studying with some amazing Latin percussion teachers as well. So then I started to do a lot of work with DJs when I was playing loads and loads and loads of percussion, more than I was doing the drum kit. Mm-hmm. But then I've also always been doing a lot of educational work, and I'm also writing my own music and writing songs together with other bands and people. So that's why I would pick, like rhythm artist.
Okay, we're going to go with that. I like it. Okay. Talking about you with your work in Finland, and then obviously the work that you're doing here as well. Does the work that you've done in London and England, does that give you, is that sort of what's helping the work back in Finland? Because obviously you've done a lot of work with some great names and some great cachet and TV and a big name artists. Has that helped your profile back in Finland, do you think?
I think everything will help everything at the end of the day. But I would say, though, that those worlds have been kept quite separate, sort of until now. And it's interesting now when we live in isolation and everything has to happen through a screen. Yeah. Those two worlds are actually starting to meet now more than they have before. Because before, language is a big thing as well. Like, because everything that I'm doing on my social media and everything is in English, that doesn't necessarily always translate to the Swedish speaking Finnish community that I work with in Finland. Most of the work I've done there has been education based, but now recently they've started to get more interested in me as an artist and me as a songwriter and a drummer, these things that I've been doing for a long time here in England as well.
Amazing. All right, you spoke about there being a songwriter. So you're just in the midst of releasing a single with King's Daughters, and I've got to talk about the biggest of names that is attached to that project, Brian May. Okay, tell me how did Brian May get involved with your single release that's happening?
So I'm the drummer in a band called King's Daughters. And about a year ago, we wrote a song called Get Up. And Talia, the singer in the band, she knows Brian. So she sent the song to Brian just as a little demo. Hey, have a listen. What do you think about this? Some feedback. And he sent a message back going, oh my God, I cannot stop listening to this song. It just makes me feel so good. Wow. And he's like, I'm usually not into this kind of feel-good stuff, but there's something in this song that is just, I don't know what it is, but can I put my producer gloves on and could we do something together? And we were like,
yes, what? No problems. Let's just think about that. Yes.
So that's how that whole journey started together with Brian. And then I got to go to Roger Taylor's studio and record the drum parts on his kit and touch the drum kit that they recorded Bohemian Rhapsody on, and the grand piano that Freddie has been recording so many of the songs on. So it's just
goodness
me. The experience has felt quite surreal, but then we also had like big launch plans that were going to happen.
Of course.
And now in April, that was before we knew about the coronavirus and the isolation and lockdown and everything. So then all of that hit, and we were like, okay, what are we doing now? Are we just gonna postpone everything? But then we realized that this song is actually a really important song to release right now in these times, because keeping a positive attitude is the best way that we can get through these days right now. And I've always looked at Get Up as this like almost like a mental health manifesto.
Amazing.
So what's happened since then is that the mental health charity Mind, they've got on board with us. So we're now collaborating with them on the song. And then we've also included the whole world in this Get Up campaign. And we've shot the whole music video in isolation. And then we've asked anyone from anywhere in the world to send in a video where they do the dance, the Get Up dance move together with us. And we've had people from 43 different countries, 43 different countries, hundreds and hundreds of videos. Our inbox crashed at some point.
It
changed our systems. But it's so beautiful to see, and we have so much love from people all over the world telling us how we've just made their day, and we put a smile on their face, and they feel so much more positive now, and all these things. So it feels like the purpose of the song, maybe that thing that Brian first heard in it, it's really helping a lot of people right now.
It's resonating with people, especially in this changed situation. That resonation's even greater, isn't it?
Yeah.
Amazing. So obviously that is a huge part of what's happening for you in the next sort of 4 to 6 weeks. Obviously it's been happening for months prior, but I sort of did have a question I want to ask about. Aside from that, what are your plans for the next few months with this changed situation that we're in?
Yeah, I think it's difficult to plan anything really at the moment, because we just don't know when is this situation gonna stop. Even when it stops, when can we, because I'm primarily, as you know, Rich, a live performer. That's what I do full time.
Okay. Yeah, man.
But when will we be able to go back out and do that? Yeah. It probably won't be the day after the lockdown, disappears.
Yeah.
So it's quite difficult to plan things at the moment, but I think what I'm sort of looking forward to doing now is just doing more work from home, properly starting up a YouTube channel as well, with drum videos, with creative videos from all of these amazing places that we have access to here. And that's stuff that I've been wanting to do for a long time anyways, but because I'm always traveling, always moving,
there's never the chance.
I've never spent enough time at home to actually be able to do some of those things. So I think that's probably gonna be like my plans for the next few months, just being as creative as I can, but also creating content that I actually put out.
Okay, talking drummer to drummer. This is what we can do. Last bit, just we're going to finish off. We'll do two drummer questions. So some people might be like, oh, not interested. But tell me your favorite drummer, and why.
Okay, my favorite drummer is probably between Sheila E. and Stuart Copeland.
Yeah.
And drum part wise, I would probably go for Stuart Copeland, just because he's so innovative. I just love his feel. I love where he puts his accents and the sound that they created together with the Police.
Yeah.
But as an inspiration to me personally, I would pick Sheila E. Just because of everything that she's done, the fact that she's both a badass percussion player and a kick-ass drummer.
It's true.
So she would be like my number one inspiration, definitely. And I've also read her audiobook, so I know her whole background story, and she's also had a crazy life, but there's always a reason for why someone is as talented as they are. They always had a journey getting there.
Agreed. Nice, very nice choices. One for the specialists. This is definitely the last one. If you wanted your ideal drum kit, the one that it doesn't matter what it is, like you can just take it, whether it's Ringo Starr's original drum kit from the 1960s, or it's it's sort of John Bonham's from Led Zeppelin days. Tell me a drum kit that is the one that you would want out of all of them ever. Or one today as well. Okay, there's a DW, there's that 24 karat gold hardware DW kit. There's like £14,500. Which is it?
Well, I actually really love my drum kit.
That's all good. Hey, that's...
And the reason is because I was so lucky when this drum kit was built for me.
So you're with Premier, aren't you?
Yes, I'm with Premier Drums, and I was super lucky to get on board with them when they still had they had a little era a few years ago when they brought their manufacturing back to the UK.
Yeah.
And they had a really amazing drum builder that made a kit called the Modern Classic Series, which won like so many awards that year. And they custom built me a kit within this series.
Amazing.
With like orange hardware, and it's just incredible, and it sounds so great. It's so unique because that kit will just...
It's the Vicky O'Neons kit.
The Vicky O'Neons kit. So I'm gonna blow my own trumpet.
It's mine.
It's my drum kit. So I already have
it. Vic, look, it's been lovely chatting to you. I can only wish you the very, very best of luck with the single release. I know it will do great. I'm very, very, very envious of you working with Brian May. And it's great. I worked in a band many years ago, and it is such a lovely feeling, when the crew is working towards one sort of big thing.
It's really powerful actually to be a part of, because it feels like it's so much bigger than yourself. You're just a part of this journey that is going in a direction.
Very cool.
So it's super exciting.
Have a great rest of the day. I'll see you soon.
Yes!
Hey!
Bye-bye!
Bye now.